Hi everyone, welcome to Abstract Boxing and Stuff channel, and this will be my pre-fight prediction for the upcoming super middleweight clash, world title clash in fact, in the World Boxing Super Series between George Groves and Chris Eubank Jr. I already did this yesterday, but for some reason, and I'll just say this briefly, if anybody knows why this is happening, please let me know in the comments here. When I tried to upload from iMovie on iOS on an iPad yesterday, it wouldn't let me upload a video longer than 15 minutes, and I had in fact rattled on for quite a bit longer than that. So if anybody knows why it's doing that, please, I'd appreciate you if you could let us know. But anyway, this may be one of two parts, because I've got quite a bit to say on this. I'm going to try and get it all into 15 minutes if I can. If I can't, I'll try and I'll do another video. I've also got a little bit of footage because I was messing around with a screen capture app, and I've captured some footage of some early Groves stuff that I had some thoughts on. I did a little bit of commentary over it, so if I can edit that into the second video, I will as well. Okay, so anyway, Groves versus Eubank, great fight. Really fucking hyped for this fight. Really looking forward to it. Have been for quite some time. And like most people, I've been going back and forth on this quite a bit. I really couldn't decide who I thought was going to win this fight at all, to be honest. 1 minute I was pretty convinced Groves was going to win it, and then the next I was pretty convinced Junior was going to win it, and I was to and fro, and I've probably to and froed about 3 or 4 times on this. Last few days, I've done quite a bit of thinking about it. I've watched quite a bit of footage, old fights and stuff, and also got to give a shout out to some of the guys on the podcast, particularly Irish Tom, actually, that pointed out a few things during last week's podcast regarding, you know, people that have managed to get inside on George Groves recently, and it's just about everybody. And in fact, when I watched the Jamie Cox fight, even again, and Jamie Cox is, you know, quite a basic fighter. I don't know if he's a southpaw, but he's quite basic. I think Junior is a lot more educated, a lot more has a lot more ability than Cox, and Cox was giving George Groves some real problems, and you know, I think Cox's heart was actually called into question there, because I think he could have got up from that shot. But anyway, look, let me first say, this is not a confident pick at all. This is not a fight that I would be putting money on, you know. But I am reasonably sort of like happy with my pick at this point, and I'll say right off, I'm picking Eubank Jr. to win this fight. There's a few reasons. I see these guys as two fighters that are on opposite sort of heading in opposite directions, if you like. I see Groves as a guy that is, yeah, he's more experienced, yeah, he's the bigger guy, but with that experience has come a few battles. You know, there was the Baddy Jack fight, which was a battle. There was even the Tudornoff fight was a battle. There's the two Froch fights. There's the Chilling knockout in the second fight. And I just see Groves as he's not the same fighter he was in. I mean, I don't think he's the same fighter he was anymore. I really don't. I think there's much less snap to his work, much less speed. I think he's a less confident fighter. He comes across as confident, but I'll touch on a couple of things that anybody that watches the podcast with any regularity knows that I'm a big sort of like body language, reading people type of guy. I like to pay attention to stuff like that, and Groves comes across as confident and whatnot, but some of the things he's doing in this fight, and I noticed it before with the Carl Froch. Remember, the gloves are off, where he held on to Froch's hand a little bit too long, and Froch just kind of looked at him as, what are you doing? You know, like those are not that, you know, like when you're confident, you don't really feel the need to do that. You know, like, those are not the actions of a confident guy to me. Those are the actions of a guy trying to show you how confident he actually is, to usually cover up a lack of confidence. In the build up to this fight, there was a couple of things he said that sort of like he's clutching at straws a little bit. Like he in one of the pressers he said, you know, Junior stays fit all the time, and that's just not how it's done. He seemed to be insinuating that, you know, like just getting fit when you're in camp is the way to go, and it's kind of like, you know, there's been a lot of top class fighters over the years, elite fighters that stayed in the gym all the time. Floyd Mayweather is a prime example of a guy that was always fit, you know. And so I think he's definitely clutching at straws there. The other thing he's kind of like, which I really didn't like from him, and is in one of the interviews he did after a press conference, he was talking about how disappointed he was that Senior was saying this stuff about, you know, refs needing to protect the fighters from Junior and whatnot, and he was really disappointed in that from Senior, because he feels that Senior was talking about the Nick Blackwell situation. Look, Senior's been talking like that for years, like since way before the Blackwell fight. Senior was talking about refs should be protecting fighters from Junior. This all hype. It's just all Eubank BS. That's all it is. Let's not make it out to be something other than that, because it's not. Breakdown of the fight. You know, I'm doing my best now to try and keep this under 15 minutes, because I kind of like I was quite happy with the video I did the other day, and then they wouldn't let me upload it. Groves is a flawed fighter. Let's be honest. Groves is flawed, man. You know, people keep making the comparison between you know, the Saunders fight, and as if, you know, this could be just another version of that. Look, two things I would say. One is Eubank Jr. is a way improved fighter since that Billy Joe Saunders fight. That's the first thing. The second thing is Saunders and Groves are not really the same alike at all. I wouldn't say. Groves doesn't use his feet anywhere near as well. He doesn't move anywhere near as well as Saunders. Groves is a guy that gives up a lot of his attributes. He gives up his height with that wide stance. He's got a great jab, but I don't feel he uses that jab in as well as he could, or as effectively as he could in a lot of cases. He tends to just use it as a range finder at times, or just as a way to try and set up the right, you know. I think body work is going to be key here. I think if Groves is going to slow Junior down, he's gonna need that body work, and Groves is a good body puncher, you know. Same for Junior. Junior's a good body puncher, and I think Groves' gas tank is going to be a big problem for George Groves. I think, you know, the only way I see Groves winning this fight is by knockout. I don't see Groves winning this fight on points. I've seen a couple of people predicting Groves on points. I just don't see it. I don't think Groves has enough of an engine, enough of a tank. I don't think he throws enough punches to win this fight on points. I just don't. You know, if he was a guy that used his jab a lot and effectively, say like a Golovkin in the Lemieux fight, where he can just use it and keep you at bay and then do what the hell he wants, then it might be a different matter. But I don't see it as that. You know, I think, you know, as some of the guys pointed out, Irish Tom pointed out, guys like Chudinov were able to get inside on him. Even Jamie Cox was able to get inside and put shots together, punches and bunches on the ropes, like, and Jamie Cox is quite a basic fighter, you know, and so I just don't see that happening. I think the only really chance that I really give George Groves, to be honest here, not chance, of course, like this is a close fight, and none of these picks are confident, but would be knocking him out. I mean, Eubank, we've seen him taking a few big shots. Spike O'Sullivan, he took a couple off of Arthur Abraham, but it was a shot Arthur Abraham. Let's be honest, and Arthur Abraham didn't really have much power at super middle. He did. I don't think he had as much power as George Groves at super middle. Anyway, so it's really the untested nature of Junior, the way he is untested in quite a lot of areas, and George Groves will definitely be the biggest puncher he'll have been in with, and probably the best fighter he's been in with as well, I would say, and so that's really the only way I see Groves sort of winning this fight, you know. What else did I want to say? I mean, look, if Groves can keep him a distance, then it's probably an easy win for Groves, but I just don't think he can. I think Junior's just way too youthful, way too slippery, way too busy. The thing as well is, you notice Eubank Junior doesn't really get hit that much. He can sometimes leave himself quite open when he's sort of like on the way back out. He sometimes stays in the pocket too long as well, but I think he's a much improved fighter. I mean, if you look at the Yildirim fight, he that fight begins, he keeps Yildirim at distance for a bit, doubling up, tripling up on the jab, going body head, and really boxed quite well at the start of that fight, and then obviously stopped him. I know it was only Yildirim whose win, the only notable win for Yildirim was Peribang, an old James DeGale victim, and so yeah, I mean, you know, I just see this fight as a kind of a bit of a change in the guard when it comes to you know, British super middleweights. I don't rate oh God, Callum Smith. I don't really rate Callum Smith, to be honest. I think he's been exposed a little bit in a couple of the recent fights, and James DeGale looks like a shell of his former self to me, and so like I kind of like, I see this is definitely a coming out fight for Eubank Jr. I can't wait for this fight. God, I'm fucking so looking forward to this fight. I saw some of the footage on early Groves before. It's a guy called Kenny Anderson, a Scottish guy that dropped Groves and came close to stopping him at the end of I believe it was the third round. This was one of the fights that I did some commentary on, and that I might include in the second part of the video if I do a second part. But what it sort of like, something I'd always sort of like thought was that this had been like a bit of a more recent thing where he doesn't deal with pressure too well, but even then, and this was early, this was 2010, I believe it was for a Commonwealth title, he didn't deal with pressure very well then either, and so yeah, I mean, this is quite clearly, you know, like, Groves is a flawed fighter. Anybody that thinks Groves is some master boxer, he's just not. His balance is quite poor. You know, he gets into dogfights too much, and I think Eubank Jr. is just not the kind of guy you want to get into a dogfight with. I think if it's a dogfight, I think this is easy work for Eubank, to be completely honest, because I just don't think Groves has that in him. I don't think Groves has that inside game in him at all, or if he has, I haven't seen it so far, you know. So yeah, I'll be picking Eubank Jr. to win the fight. Let me know what you think. How do you see this fight going? Do you think that do you think Groves is kind of on the way down like I do? Do you think he is kind of like, I know he's just won a world title and stuff, but I definitely see him as a fighter that's kind of like, you know, if you look at a fighter's career as sort of like a hill, I definitely see him on the other side of that hill rather than on the way up it, which is where I see Eubank Jr. So yeah, let me know what you think. If you've enjoyed the content, please hit the like button. If you are not yet subscribed, please subscribe. If you haven't liked it, hit the dislike button. Whatever you want to do, man. Yeah, cheers.